All right, let's go to Greg Jennings, 10 years in the NFL, played with Brett Favre for a couple years, Aaron Rodgers for about 5. So I said last week, I think the Ravens are going to go 16-0, and I think part of it, I would have said like 13-3, but with no preseason, no OTAs, I do think it's a huge advantage for a coach, a quarterback. They have a veteran team. But let me just go to this, because 16-0 is a little over the top. What was the best team you ever played on? Did you ever believe going into a camp this team could go undefeated? Do players even think like that?
Of course. And when you have a team comprised of great personnel, great talent, but experience as well, and then the coaching staff aligns with that, you truly can believe that. And we, in the 2011 season, the year after we won the Super Bowl, we believed it. We thought we were going to run the table, and we ended up going 15-1. And I'll throw this out there. The one game that we did lose was a game against the Kansas City Chiefs, where yours truly did not play because I suffered an MCL injury the week before against the Raiders. So no, but no, teams, obviously you understand that to be able to run the table, it's a tall order to ask. But once you start you get it rolling, you start looking at the teams that you have on that schedule, and you start thinking, wow, we can get this team. We can get this team. But you have to understand that when you do have it rolling, like a New England Patriots year that they had, everybody's trying to knock you off. Just like the team that's 0 and whatever, no one wants to lose to that team. When a team is undefeated, you're going to get every team's best shot.
So it's very funny. I got a text this morning from an NFL player. So Tom Brady told Joe Montana at the Super Bowl. Montana came out today and admitted it. Tom said, they wouldn't take my advice. They'd ask me questions. They'd never take my advice. It's one of the reasons I left. He was burnt out from it. It's very funny. This, I believe, is what Russell Wilson is starting to say in Seattle. He came out yesterday, and he's a team guy, but he said, we can't be behind every fourth quarter. It'd be nice if we, kind of played that way, meaning Seattle's game plans are ridiculously conservative. And I thought it was Russell's way. And this player texted me this morning and he said, you are not wrong. This is Russell Wilson's way of saying to the coaching staff, let's go. Open this thing up. When you were with Favre or Rodgers, when they were upset, would they confront the staff? How does that work for a quarterback and players when they want to be heard?
Well, what tends to happen is when you feel like you're trying to say things or communicate in a nice way, that is in a way that should be received as a player to a coach, and they are dismissing it and not paying attention to your input, then you start to go off the beaten path a little bit. You start to do things like Brett Favre used to do when we were in the huddle and the plays would come in and he would act as though he didn't really hear the play or receive the play and just change it. And because at the end of the day, players know what needs to get done. It's all about the coaching staff trusting that all 11 players will execute. And that's where kind of the rift comes in. And so when you hear Russell Wilson start to make comments like this, he hears the same thing every week. We got to start fast. We got to start fast. Well, a part of starting fast is putting the ball into your best playmaker's hands, and that is Russell Wilson. And now you have a DK Metcalf, a huge playmaker on the outside, Tyler Lockett, who's been a playmaker, undersized, but he makes plays. You add Greg Olsen, a security blanket. You have pieces. There is no excuse for Brian Schottenheimer to say, nope, let's turn around and hand it off to Chris Carson 25, 30 times a game. Let Russell Wilson run the offense and be the bell cow, if you will, to where they win on his shoulders and they lose on his shoulders.
Well, Tom Brady said he wanted more input. Go to your last 5 years with Aaron. There's some things they haven't told Aaron. They got rid of Van Pelt as quarterback coach, didn't give him a heads up. I don't like that at all. I think they should have gotten him a wide receiver this draft. If not, talk to him before the draft. I didn't like that in support of Aaron. I didn't like that at all. But when you were with Aaron, did Aaron have a say-so in the game plan?
Of course.
Okay,
of
he
course.
did.
He did. With Mike McCarthy, he had to say so. Now, there comes a point where, even as a coach, you have to kind of draw the line to where you're not just completely handing over your offense to a player, but there are certain players. Peyton Manning was one of those guys. We see Tom Brady that has this ability to just be a player type coach on the field. Aaron Rodgers is one of those guys. But I think what happened with Aaron and Mike McCarthy's relationship stemmed and was a lot of carryover from Brett Favre. A lot of that bumping heads, Brett going off the beaten path, as I mentioned, and Mike McCarthy not wanting that as a young coach. And so you pull back the reins right away, and then you fail to kind of loosen them up and relinquish them. But not every player has this ability. You got players like Patrick Mahomes. Let the man have freedom. We see that he functions well when he's out there and in control. Let him have free reign to do what makes him comfortable, because what makes the quarterback comfortable when they are special, like these individuals that I mentioned, they should have more input and they should be conversed. Not every player will have that necessity or needs that input and that ear to be listening in. But when you have franchise players who have turned organizations around, who have impacted them in ways like these players who are typically quarterbacks, I believe you should be having communication with them at all times.
But so Kansas City's paying the whole darn roster. So Travis Kelce now making money, got a big deal today, and Chris Jones and Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Honey Badger. Here's what I wonder, is that money can change people. It could change anybody. Is that when you win a Super Bowl and all of a sudden that Brinks truck starts lining up at everybody's bank. You won a Super Bowl and some guys get paid. Are you concerned at all that, man, not everybody reacts to money the same way? If I look at the Greg Jennings background, your background tells me you had to fight for it. You didn't go to a college football power. You're a guy that had to earn everything you got. But there are some guys, they get money and it's not the same player. And you've been in those locker rooms. Are you worried a little about Kansas City? They got like 6 massive contracts this morning. Now, if you add them all up.
Not worried about them at all. And here's why, Colin. When you pay guys like that, and you pay several guys on one side of the ball, but you also pay guys on the other side of the ball, everybody feels like, oh, I have an opportunity to stay here. I have an opportunity to continue to have success with this organization that has been successful. And that fits what I bring to the table. When you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, the individuals that are getting paid are heavily dependent upon on Sundays and on Mondays and on Thursdays. We as players enjoy that. We embrace that role. If you allow me to still have the same impact as when I didn't have the dollars and I was trying to earn it, and then I get it, and I walk into the meeting and I see my number being called and implemented in the game plan, I'm always engaged. That's what we see with the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid. Brett Veach has done a phenomenal job of being able to maneuver and manipulate their budget and their cap space to where they can keep the guys that they know have been a huge integral part of them having success. And Andy Reid then turns around on the field as a player's coach, makes sure that they are still vested and have vested interests because they are a huge integral part. Look at Sammy Watkins. Everybody thought, they can let him walk. But Andy Reid says, no, I can use him and I will make it worthwhile if we can keep him.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.